I just didn't quit. That's the only distinguishing quality from me and probably whoever else going through this or went through this or is gonna go through this, is that I ain't quit. I went through every emotion. I went through every emotion with trying to pursue what I'm doing. You know what I mean? And I think that what's gonna separate whoever's gonna try to go for something is that you ain't gonna quit.
This episode right here is going to be about what it's like to walk a prison yard. You'll have different housing units that will come out and enter this park right here. And in the middle of the park and outside of the track is pull-up bars, free weights at some facilities. What else is there? There's all handball courts, basketball courts, different sections. So you may have the Hispanics on the handball court, and then you may have the white guys on the other side. So the prison yard is a world amongst its own. So you have a world inside of prison, and then you have a world outside of prison, and then inside of prison you have other little worlds. Seg, where it's 24-hour lockdown. Some days you may come out for an hour and go to a dog cage. So when you go out here and walk the yard, imagine being at a park with hundreds, if not 1,000 plus people walking, coming and going. Some people are going to the library. Some people are going to the barber shop. People are out there. Different groups are talking, and to walk the yard, you definitely have to have your head held high. If you're in there for a funny type of case and things of that nature, it's politics to not even allow you to walk that yard. You shouldn't even be able to get on that yard. There should be no reason why you're walking amongst the rest of everybody else at all. Usually, that typically to fall on race or section or things of that nature, where they need to come holler at you and tell you, once again, you're not welcome here, and that ain't gonna fly, and we know who you are. And I'm saying it the nice way. When that situation occurs, believe me, it's nothing of that nature. But at the end of the day, walking the yard, it's a serene feeling. Especially at nighttime, walking the yard at night when the street lights kind of come on the yard, and it gives you the feel of kind of like, being in the city on the late night. Majority of the time, the yard will shut down. You'll have to go in your housing unit, and then the doors will close and lock, and they won't open for the rest of the night. And typically, depending on where you're at and what level of custody you are, that could be 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock after that, you can't even come out, period, point blank. Different custody levels, they have shared bathrooms so they can come and go out of there. But, closed custody and things of that nature, you're locked in, and you're locked in with another person. And now this other person usually isn't somebody This could be, and forgive me for saying this, but it could be a bum off the street. I had a cellie one time that, once again, he really had no value for his life whatsoever. And he kind of looked like, if you guys can imagine, he looked like Paul Bunyan, big beard, big stock, looked like he could chop down trees. And man, this was a cellie that I had to live above, thank God. But the man would come in there and he would shave his beard and leave it in the sink, and then it'd be all over the floor and everything of that nature. So even though I'm only, at that time, I was only probably like 170, 175, I gotta tell this man, hey, look, man, this isn't gonna work, man. Come on, this isn't even respectable. At the end of the day, that they either respect it or they check it, and that's usually how prison really works. And it's a trip when you take that mentality and then you put it next to the mainstream. The mainstream way of being a citizen, that mainstream citizen mind. Because at the end of the day, none of that stuff works out here. You can't check people like that. Walking the prison yard in wintertime is really, really a task. I had been at a facility, Sterling Correctional Facility, where the wind would blow so hard that it would push you. You would have to fight uphill like you were trekking. And at the end of the day, your face would be frozen. If you were going to say anything, it would steal your breath. And these were treacherous conditions that you had to walk to at 6 o'clock in the morning just to get some hard-boiled eggs and some hash browns. And then from the chow hall, you'll walk back to your facility. I mean, to your housing unit. So when you get back to your housing unit, it's most of the time you're locked in there for hours. Some, I don't know, depending on custody levels, sometimes you're locked in there with a cellie for hours on end until the day room will pop open, and then being in the day room, you pretty much, you walk out and you got a pull-up bar and you've got people just standing around. You've got microwaves. You got people over there cooking, top ramen galore. Outside of that, you'll have probably a mop room, a clean up room. Depending where you're at, you might have 2 tiers, you may have 3 tiers. And at the end of the day, being in prison is an intense environment. Always has you on edge, because even when you go to chow, what is called lunch, breakfast, dinner, even when you go to chow, you know, this is the chow hall is usually where majority of stuff always goes down at, because you got units and pods passing one another, and in prison you can't hide unless you're in ADSEG, because even if you get to another facility and you've did some bullshit, that word is going to precede you and it's going to follow you, and somebody's going to pull your card on some point. Out here in the real world, that's what escapes me sometimes, is that the integrity levels in prison are at an all-time high, because I mean, all you're living on is your word, and the man, at the end of the day, a true man, all he has is his word. So it's interesting to be out here in what would be deemed the real world, our society, and juxtapose the mind frames and kind of just think about the convict mentality, and being out here, because truthfully, you got to change your thinking. You got to change that us versus them type of mentality to a degree before you even get out, because when you get out, the way the system is set up is that as soon as you get out, you may never have a job, no family, no nothing. As soon as you get out, you got bills. If you're on parole, you got to pay this. You need to catch the bus. You need to get a voucher if you need to get some clothes. The system isn't set up in order to see somebody succeed. It puts more and more hurdles, and you got to think about a person, especially if they done 5 years plus. And I'm not going to downplay below 5, but 5 years is like really where it starts to really like institutionalize a person on most cases. And I say institutionalized, like just be stuck in that habit and that mind frame to a degree. And it's interesting though, because at the end of the day, it's crazy, because a lot of people are out here doing time. They're in prisons of their mind and they don't even realize it. But to walk that prison yard, to be in that chow hall, to live in prison, and to be on edge all the time, it's a form of PTSD. And I think the mental awareness doesn't even cross most people's mind that are getting out of prison. You've had to be so mentally strong for so long, but the real test comes when you get out of prison, is when you get out on the streets. Is like, how long can you run the ball for? How long can you do this for? How long can you be consistent? How successful can you be? A lot of people make a lot of promises while they're in prison and they never follow through, because they're not that guy. You get out here on the streets, and then the world itself puts that acid test on you, and you find out, hey, I'm not really built like that, or so forth. But at the end of the day, prison doesn't provide the luxury, especially if you're in administration or segregation or anywhere where you're isolated. It allows you the time to reconnect with yourself, because in the real world you're moving so fast. Everything's 100 miles an hour. When you're locked down, you may be at a facility for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years in one spot on the map, and never go more than 3 or 4 blocks to go to everything, to rec, to the library, to go eat, to doctor's office, whatever you call it. So think about it. You slow down, you get back to the essence of who you are. The things that make you tick, the things that make you happy, the things that make you sad. Which everybody knows to a degree, but none of us really take the time to sit down and really pinpoint and be precise with it. Because at the end of the day, being able to have that clarity is really what allows you to move forward in life. Because every day in life you're getting missiles thrown at you. You've got to jump, you got to get over here. So a person like myself, I was 20 years old and I took a plea deal for 22 years. So I took more years. I took a deal at that for more years in prison than I had been alive at the time. And, to separate myself from all the so-called friends who just disappeared after I got locked up, to, getting to the mind frame of, working in pots and pans and having to do dishes, and, you know, it was a long road for me when I came in there, and especially living life, there's no way to escape adversity. It's like a fight. You're gonna have to get punched to give one. You know, you gotta take them to get one. Really, you know, that's how life really works, in my humblest of opinions. Being in prison was really probably one of the greatest things that ever happened to me, to a degree, because it allowed me the luxury to educate myself. It allowed me the luxury to read and, you know, open my mind to things that were nowhere near in my environment, you know, and give me a greater sense of self, you know, through some writings, especially some of the writings from like the late 1800s, early 1900s. The wordplay and their delivery is so vivid that, you know, you can see it in the mind's eye perfectly. So, you know, it allowed me to build myself into an organic, educated man that, you know, before prison, that, you know, I wasn't interested in the high school topics. I'd rather be out and about and, you know, hanging out and, you know, doing whatever I was doing when I wasn't in school. You know, all the things that were wrong. But at the end of the day, looking back at my life now as a 36-year-old man, you know, I can see in hindsight 2020, I can see how one thing was meant to be and how another thing was meant to be, and how they all line up, and the thread of unity that runs through all of them. Because it's amazing. It's amazing the way God works. He made something that was bad, he made it good. And, you know, the biggest blessing getting out of prison is having a good support system of people around that really believed in me, you know, and took the chance on me. You know, I was very fortunate when I got out that a friend of the family picked me up for their construction business and provided a platform that allowed me to grow and allowed me to work on my business when I got off. And, you know, I just took a way that I was living in prison with a routine, a militant routine, and I applied that militant routine to, you know, furthering my business knowledge, furthering my knowledge to e-commerce, and furthering my knowledge to Facebook ads. And that's the killer, is that, you know, when I first started out, I was losing money, and I'd work my whole week and do some overtime, and I put it on Facebook ads. And, you know, now looking back, I can see how I was messing up on the marketing. You know, it was sell. It wasn't the real value. But nonetheless, you know, I spent my money on Facebook ads, and they wouldn't come back. They wouldn't return to me. And I think, damn, you know, this product, it seems like a winner, but it's not a winner. And, you know, looking back now, they were all winners. Every product is a winner to a degree. It's just, how is it marketed? How are you speaking the language to the people? And that's the kicker, you know. And I'm thankful, because, you know, prison allowed me the luxury to get disciplined. It allowed me to, you know, get myself together. So, you know, once again, all praise to God, because what was supposed to be bad was made good. And here I am as a living testament to you here, July 2019, that, hey man, anything is possible if you stick at it. And you don't give up, because there was many times in there, you know, like I said, it wasn't coming back. The Facebook ads weren't coming back. My money, I was, man, literally before one of my biggest breakthroughs, I was down to $260 in my account. Now, I thought I was going to be doing Lyft, you know, I'm sitting here, you know, but I hammered at it. I was up till 1 o'clock testing products, and hey, what did you know? Next thing you know, boom. And it's been on ever since then, and that was 2 years and some change now. And, you know, this has been an interesting journey, but, you know, had I not been to prison, had I not had to, you know, get myself together to the point where, you know, my outlook on life is not just about myself, you know, it's about furthering a greater cause. And to this day, I'm still digging a little deeper to find more and more purpose, but this channel has definitely opened up a whole nother doorway, and you know, I'm looking forward to seeing what comes from it. So if you guys like this video, if you found it informational, if you'd like me to talk on more of these topics, you got some questions, or you got a family member or somebody that's in prison, you know, whatever it may be, hey, please like, comment, and I'll tap back in with you. I greatly appreciate you guys watching, and I'm out.
If you like this video right here, please show some love and hit the like button. Also hit the subscribe and notification button to stay updated for the latest videos. New videos will be dropping Thursday, 9 p.m. Mountain Time, so please stay tuned.